Welcome to episode 87 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, the only pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. How you doing, son?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. This episode brought to y'all by Hickory Ridge Soap from Two Old Crows Homestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Also, Heaven's Harvest, y'all, 10% off with promo code PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. And y'all, we're going to have some really good news about their seeds. Pretty shocking news, actually. We kind of led up to it last time, but look, okay, I can't keep a secret here. 100% germination, y'all. 100%. So consider them. Man, I wasn't 100% on board with their seeds until I actually saw this stuff doing what it's doing. All right, y'all, remember, if you want to tip a pimp, check us out on the Fountain app, where you can go over there and pay us in sats, which is a derivation of Bitcoin as I understand it. All right, y'all, we'll jump straight into it. Tip of the day. Make sure you have everything you need when you're going to build a compost pile. Now, we're trying a new method out there. We're going to talk about it not immediately. I want to make sure everything works out or doesn't work out. I don't want to put a bunch of people in a tailspin because we've done composting a certain way for the longest time. And the problem is, well, it's not a problem, is that if we change up the entire script, and I tell you what that is now without having seen it all the way through, then we're really going to mess people up. So we're not going to break this down, but we're not going to break it down completely until we get to the finish line. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little bit disjointed here because I got to turn my stupid phone off, which I thought was already off. That's that little ding you heard in the background. Anyway, here's the situation. When you're going out there, you're building these compost piles. This one is an entirely different method in terms of how you flip. Typically, in an 18-day Berkeley method, you're going to flip that thing maybe 7 times, could be more if everything goes right. This method, you're only going to flip it twice, and for the express purpose of keeping more of the fungal life in this compost, especially where you're using it. So the problem is when you flip a compost pile over and over and over again, you're kind of breaking up whatever the fungal party has going. It takes longer for it to make the hypha that it needs. Okay, I said all that to say this. With this new method, not only could it be easier for you to construct it, and honestly, the methodology in which she goes about it seems to make a lot of sense, but I'm not going to be a champion of it until we prove it. But the point of it being, y'all, you got to have precise things. And in our case today, we thought we had thermometers, and we didn't. And that's kind of critical when you're doing this kind of method. It's not by feel. There's certain things you're looking for. Okay, the temperature's got to be this, and then if it is, then you let it go for this long. So the point of it being, this is why I'm saying it's a tip of the day. Make absolutely sure when you're doing things like this, okay, do I have my compost cage? Do I have all my greens together? Do I have all my browns together? Do I have a diversity of materials here? Does the compost cage I have require retrofitting, which ours did? So there's a lot there. Just make sure you do what they call in France your mise en place, meaning that you got everything in order and it's all set, ready to rock and roll. So that can be a real problem when you're out there making compost this way when you don't have the things you need. So be prepared. And once again, that goes back to our little mantra: stay alert, stay alive. Son, this is a whole new method of composting that you haven't yet done.
No, I haven't done this way. Usually do the 18-day or the 30-day method with the chicken tractor on steroids.
Yeah, so this one is a totally different ball of wax, and it might be a blessing for all those people out there that say, "Man, I really don't want to flip this thing X amount of times," and it might very well be better. Now, here's the part. I was talking to Eric Sider about this the other day, and here's the part about what we're learning is that in the past, when you make compost, yeah, there's certain benchmarks you're looking for. Okay, does it have a cocoa color? And there's a series of other things you can do. Okay, put it under a coffee filter. Do you have humic acid coming out of there? There are all those things, but there's no way to quantify the life in that compost any way that we've done it before. We have no way of knowing, okay, we kind of know how to make it fungal dominant. We've done it with compost teas and some of these other things, but there's never been a for surefire way of knowing what you got until we started, figuring out how to use a microscope. So that's some training in and of itself. All that's going to come around in the future, y'all. Just want to kind of wet your beak right now. So stay tuned for some really cool composting information, son. Okay, before we get into the farm news, you got some pretty exciting news.
Yeah, we have the knife giveaway going on. So the way to enter in the knife giveaway, you have to subscribe and comment on this episode 87 on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the podcast right now, it'll come out Tuesday afternoon. So you have to subscribe and leave a comment. The comment has to be good news, and the best comment will win. It could be funny news, but the point is to keep it positive. And also or the other way to apply is to leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast player you're listening to. So those are the ways to apply. And there's 3 giveaways. There's first, second, and third. The first place winner. Well, should we start off with third or first?
Yeah, start off with third.
Third place. All right. So third place.
Well, hang
winner.
on, son. Let's get a little clarity, because you said good news. People are going to think they got to post a good news article. I mean, what is it?
No, it doesn't have to be a good news article. It's just like a positive comment, like something that's good that's going on in your farm. It could be a funny comment. It could be just like a funny, like listen to some of the ones in the past, like the knife giveaway episodes in the past.
So they don't have to tell us how great we are.
No.
They need to just, it could be funny, whatever comment, whatever the case.
Could be hashtag tip a pimp. Could get that going.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something
Something
it could
like
be
that.
any number of things. Think outside the box, y'all.
Yeah, but the third place winner is going to win a Opinel, which is made in France, an Opinel pruning knife. And these are pretty cool. One of the oldest knife companies, I think, in the world.
Put it up near the camera.
Well, yeah, I'll show. If you want to see what the knives look like, obviously go to the YouTube channel. I'll have footage of it on the YouTube channel. But it's a Opinel pruning knife. Pretty cool locking mechanism, stainless steel knife. That's the third place.
How are they going to see it if you didn't stick it up to the camera?
Dad, I'll get footage of it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to happen all in the second. Dad, I'll get footage of it. Don't worry about it.
All right.
People on YouTube are like, yeah, he got footage of it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hold it up to the
camera.
camera.
No, you don't. They're not even going to see this screen right now.
Okay.
They're going to see a close-up version of the knife.
All right. I guess y'all know what he's talking about, because I don't.
Yeah. All right. So second place is a Kaiser sheepdog knife. Now, this is a good knife to use like on the farm. It's a nice durable knife made out of 154 cm steel and G10 handles. So it's a very durable knife. The edge is going to last quite a while, especially if you're cutting through some of the like typical farm materials like rope, plastic, stuff like that. But it's also the shape of the blade itself also lends to durability. It's not a sheep's foot knife. It's a Wharncliffe knife. You can stab with a Wharncliffe. You can't stab with a sheep's foot. That's the difference with them. But it leaves a lot of material right behind the point of the knife. You can still poke with it and stuff like that, but it's a very durable knife. That's second place. Now, first place almost didn't make it here because Dad almost pocketed it. And this is the Leatherman Free P4. And people on the YouTube channel are seeing that straight out of the box, you're getting the benefit of what requires like years of use. It's the Leatherman Free P4. It's like you can flip it like a ballad song if you know what that is, but it's like completely one-handed operation. Dad's playing with it right now.
Well, but I don't know if this thing is one-handed operation.
Here, I'll show you.
Two
people on YouTube are going to see what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's one-handed.
Well, hey, y'all, it almost didn't make it here, honestly.
Also, yeah. So what's another thing that's really cool about it is all the tools are accessible from the outside of the thing, and all of the tools lock. So like there's the serrated knife, for example, and then it just locks. All of it is one-handed operation, and they built the tools so where they catch on a glove. So if you have gloves on, you can still pull all the tools out. And that is your first place win. Yeah. It comes with a deep carry pocket clip. I wouldn't use the pocket clip. That's a heavy thing to put in your pocket. I would put it in the pouch that attaches to your belt.
Well, honestly, this thing is like the cat's meow. And honestly, I think I'm going to wind up getting one anyway, because you said they're about.
Yeah. So here's another reason.
Yeah, tell them what you said.
So I got some insider information. And if you guys saw the latest YouTube video where I went to Smoky Mountain Knife Works, like that's the best store on earth if you don't know. But there's a guy there working that was telling me some insider information on Leatherman. I guess this can count as a bad news segment, Dad. So Leatherman is based out of Portland, Oregon. They can't get anybody to work there. Right now, the old man who invented Leatherman came out of retirement to work the factory to make enough Leathermans because they can't get enough people. So if you wanted a reason to apply for this knife giveaway, there's a reason right there.
Man, that is just heartbreaking because honestly, they make a fantastic product, even though they won't call a brother back.
I think they're a little busy right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can. If the old man came out of retirement, HR is over there working.
Yeah, they got some issues. They got some issues because I'm thinking, okay, man, I've been a fan of Leatherman forever and a day. You could not give me a Gerber.
The best thing about this one particularly, how many years of use does it require? Do you have to, like, on a typical Leatherman, like a rebar or a wingman or something like that, how many years of use does it take to get to that level of fluidity?
Well, it's smooth. I mean, it's well built. I mean, it's a good piece of craftsmanship. So, y'all, the point of it being is that in my everyday carry, believe me, on my hip, there's always going to be a razor blade knife, and there's always going to be a Leatherman. Right now, I got that. I think I'm gonna kick this. I don't know if I'm going to kick it up to the that one right off, but I definitely want to get one before they go out.
Yeah.
So it's yet another example of all the things that are falling apart where you got. To me, Leatherman, even though it's not that old, it's still, to me, is an American institution, especially when you know the history behind it. And I love the history. I love how this guy came up with it.
Yep.
There's a whole series. I mean, there's a really good video that was out there once of all the people whose lives were changed by that tool. And I mean, like, we're talking in death, near-death circumstances. We're able to reach in there, get this thing, and get the saw out, or...
So this one, I think you could process a pig completely with because of that. Did you notice that saw on there?
Yeah, I know. I'd like to get with it and find out. I didn't know Leatherman. I was starting to get irritated by him because I'm like, okay, man, I did you guys a solid by doing a video. I mean, not for their express purpose. I did it for the viewers to show, hey, there's a whole lot of versatility here. And I thought Leatherman would at least say, hey, thanks for doing it. Man, there wasn't even a response.
Yeah.
Now I think I know the reasons why.
Yeah, and it's like they took notes from the knife community in making this one, I think, because there's like 3 different blades on there. One of them is an American Tonto serrated chisel ground knife. You might want to Google that one, but it's a really cool knife.
Well, y'all, leave your reviews if you want to get added to the mix there, and we appreciate it. We appreciate you listening no matter what. And I can't get over the number of emails we get out there, especially as of late. It seems people are more they're digging. It seems the podcast more, whether they're people we meet live or ones that we get a lot of emails from. So, hey, folks. And speaking of which, let me say this real quick concerning the emails. If I don't get to everybody, believe me, I read them all, but there are tons and tons and tons of emails. So if I have to kind of consolidate what you wrote in with someone else, you'll know the reasons why. It's just, there's no way I can get through them all and at least respond to them on the show unless I kind of do that, because there's a lot of people that kind of have the same question.
Right. So the deadline for the knife giveaway is by 5 p.m. Thursday evening. That's Eastern time. That's April 26th by 5 p.m. Eastern is the deadline. And remember, you have to leave a comment, subscribe and leave a comment on YouTube, or leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on.
Or if you really love us, do all of the above.
Yeah. I mean, hey, also, you're not limited to one entry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's say, like,
that.
you can leave 15 comments on YouTube, like 15 good comments on there, and then, I mean, that increases your chances of getting picked. Also, on these, like Apple, for example, you can leave multiple reviews.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I would do, folks. And then get the whole family unit.
Yeah.
And the reason why, part of it is, we're obviously trying to grow the show, but also at the same time, we know that our shelf life on YouTube is, I mean, in this time and age, who even knows? But I love doing all that we do. I make no mistake about that. But I really love doing the podcast because I can go into much greater detail. The only downside is I can't go out there and show you physically. So,
Yeah.
with some of the things we say, it wouldn't shock me in today's climate whether or not they kick us off at some point or another.
Well, that's the thing. That's another part of the reason why we're doing this is because it's going to require, they're not going to, just based on what we say and the fact that we kind of empower certain people to grow their own food, which is the ultimate form of rebellion, is to grow your own food. Because of that, they're not going to promote us. So it's going to require like organic growth and help from the viewers like you guys. So in exchange, we would like to offer you guys some helpful tools in your homesteading journey.
All right, y'all. So, hey, we won't beat that one anymore. All right, so into the farm news. Hey, remember at the end of this week, April 28th and 29th, we got that pig class with Sow the Land. And then also on May 5th and 6th, we're going to be doing another pig. And folks, this is going to be it for the year. A lot of y'all have hit me up before. And with this class, you're going to get the electronic version. So unlike any other class that you have done out there, nobody, and I mean nobody, gives you an electronic version of everything you just learned, because 9 times out of 10, you either see it, you miss it, hey, you're bad. But this, you can actually take it home and do it step by step. So that's going to be the end of this week. And it's probably going to be the last time we do it this year.
And I think Mom, and Emily are all three going to be there.
No, I don't know about Emily.
Yeah, she's going to help with the food.
Well, you're going to be there too.
No, I'm not going to be here. I got to stay back and watch the farm, Dad.
Son, it ain't going to be an all-day thing. We'll see if the whole family unit
sure?
can. Yeah, I'm positive. I've already talked to Jason about this. It's not going to be an all-day thing.
All right.
So, yeah, we'll definitely work this thing out. So maybe we'll have the whole family unit out there. All right, as far as farm news, we went a little long in the tooth on that, but it's back to clearing the mountain, obviously making compost a whole different way. I'm still hot on that 75 hard and trying to dial in my diet a little bit better, and it seems like I am. Emily cooked dinner tonight, and I was thankful. It's just I'm going to make absolutely sure I'm basically no gluten, no sugar, anything like that, but to kick it up a little bit higher, I'm going to make absolutely sure if I take any carbs in any kind of form, it's going to be in the early part of the day.
Well, Kendra just had her birthday, and I noticed that giant cake downstairs.
Man, I don't even know where that thing came from.
There isn't a single slice missing. I mean, I'm proud of everybody, but I'm going to have to ask Kendra about getting a slice from there, because I'm not on the 75 hard right now.
You can freeze that thing. I'm sitting there looking at that cake, and I'm like, her friends gave it to her, and it got like these wine. I'm like, okay, maybe I wonder if she knows you ain't supposed to be drinking alcohol on this thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that cake is massive.
Yeah, that is one giant cake, man. I don't even know what you do with something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, look, y'all, I mean, as far as doing this 75 hard and then doing the power list and everything else, I'm sure I'm disappointing a fair number of people out there who are texting me and not getting a look, y'all. It's just what it is. I can't be spending forever in a day on the phone. And if I do, it has to be brief, short, and savvy. If I'm able to respond to a text message, that has been something that has really been one giant drain. That's something on this 75 hard. I'm more efficient than I've ever been in my life, because I'm committed to not fail this thing. And in order to do that, there has to be compromise, just like I stated before.
Yeah.
And part of that compromise is you find out all these different places in your life that I'm not saying they're not fruitful, but they're not helpful for reaching my goal. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you like cut out a lot of stuff that you do in your life, because you have a specific goal that you're trying to achieve, and you can't do everything that you want to do or even sometimes need to do in order to achieve that goal. Right.
And then, like with this compost, it took forever and a day to try to get this thing done, because we had to do a lot of retrofit. A lot of things had to get, and it's very precise. It's very different from anything I've ever done before. And as a consequence, here I am. I am committed to finish at least one chapter a day, or one lesson, or what from Elaine Ingham's class a day. Now, believe me, you got to take a test on this stuff, and if you fail one test, you're out. You're done.
Yeah.
So there's no like kind of winging it. You know, you got to get this thing right.
Yeah, this ain't college.
No,
where
this ain't.
C's become presidents.
Yeah, where what's that thing, that chat bot they have now where people are doing their own homework?
Oh, Chat GPT.
GPT, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. And plus, this is information I've got to know. And because it's so critical to the life we have, to the work we do, there's no half stepping on this. So in order to do everything I need to do, I'm finding out where all of the hemorrhages are happening or have been happening in my life, where, you know, for a moment there, I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch this YouTube channel. I'm watching, I can sit here and watch this YouTube channel. Fact is, I have not watched any YouTube, not even my friends. I mean, I would love to. In fact, I might just bring up what somebody told me about what Ben Holler said the other day. Hopefully that's in one of the emails. But I haven't even watched some of my friends on there. I haven't even watched really our own videos.
Yeah, but like whenever you visit other homesteaders that have a YouTube channel, everybody understands that nobody watches anybody else's channel.
Well,
does that make sense?
I typically do, just to keep up with them, see how they're doing or whatever.
But typically you don't have time to.
Well,
the point.
I definitely don't now, because let's say, okay, look, I'm not trying to gross anybody out, but let's say you're sitting on the can. I'm even trying to educate myself in some way or another. Even there, I am trying to, I'm like, okay, I got to be here. Do I want a book? Do I want this phone? And I'm actually studying there, because I got to take whatever pockets I can throughout the day. And I'm like, okay, something's got to go, man. These text messages back and forth, man, they're just going to have to be, it's what it is.
Every woman right now is thinking, like, what on earth why do you have to break out a book while you're in the bathroom? And every guy is like, amen. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it used to be a book. I mean, I imagine people use their phones now. Whatever the case may be. I mean, you're always going to be in this kind of crazy world that we have right now. So with that said, y'all, we're going to move right into the Homesteading Pastor, Pastor Lon, my pastor.
Hello, everyone. This is Pastor Lon. I got one verse of scripture I want to share with us today. It's in Psalm 34, verse 18. It says, "The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit," or a crushed, sorrowful spirit. No doubt there's people in this world today, and there may be some of you on here, you're living with a broken heart. You're living with a contrite spirit, or crushed or sorrowful spirit. And it may be because of circumstances that you had no control over. It may be things that you had all control over. See, a lot of times we seek after things we think we want, but once we receive those things, we realize that's not really what we needed, and it's bringing misery and trouble in our life. So I encourage you to do this. God may have moved something out of your life, somebody, something, and he moved it for a reason. So don't be praying that God will send something back that was causing you heartache and pain just because you have a broken heart about it, but rather pray that God will send you what you need instead of what you want, because we all know God knows our needs.
Amen to all that.
Yeah.
Man, I shoot. I'm telling y'all, I think Pastor Lon's got a bug up in this house, man.
Also known as the Holy Spirit.
Well, I wouldn't refer to him as a bug, but
No.
I think you get the point.
Right.
All right, y'all, we're going to jump straight into bad news. Good news. All righty, out of
the bad news we already kind of took care of with Leatherman, right?
Well, that is bad news, but
Yeah.
I think there's okay. For me, that's a tragedy. It really is, because I love the brand Leatherman, and I love the tools they make. I'm not going to really.
It shows the state of the United States right now when an American staple like that is under fire or about to close business.
Yeah, because they just can't find any Marchies out there that'll want to work in these factories. Man, I wish there was a Leatherman. I ain't a very good employee. When I say I'm not a good employee, it's not that I don't work hard. I just don't like taking orders from anybody, especially if somebody's a nincompoop. But man, that would be really cool to know how to build one of those things.
YouTube, you wouldn't believe the mods that people do to these Leathermans. Yeah, I think Leatherman actually got a couple ideas from the YouTube videos.
Well, that's good. I mean, well, it tells that they used to pay attention, but they ain't reading their emails, so it's all good.
He's not mad about it, though.
No, I'm not mad now. Thank you very much for easing. I was like, man, these people. Anyway, and plus, I know where they're located, so it could be some blockheaded Marchie out there just said, okay, yeah, I looked at this guy. Yeah, we'll just throw it in because they are a passive aggressive group, man. A lot of those people. Anyway, right into the bad news, and folks who are new, remember, for every one bad news, we give you two good. Okay, so the bad one is, okay, son, remember that pipeline a while back that was like blown up under the ocean? Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember the name of it?
Oh, crap. No, I don't remember. Nord Stream 1.
Yeah, they got Nord Stream 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that. So basically, energy going into Germany primarily, and let's say all of Western Europe, is kind of compromised, right? So do you think it's a wonderful idea? And this one, controlled economic demolition. Germany abandons nuclear power even as European crisis worsens.
Well, that made me think of something. I was sharpening the chainsaw, I think it was earlier yesterday, one of those electric steel ones. I was sharpening that, and I noticed on the nameplate it said made in Germany. I knew that before, but for some reason it just clicked, which made me think, y'all, if you got any steel appliances or steel tools or chainsaws or anything like that, I would buy like the most commonly broken pieces right now if you could. Because, I mean, it's made in Germany and they ain't got any energy.
Yeah.
That's required for chainsaws.
Well, yeah, that's a very good thing to point out. Man, that's a doggone shame because my German brethren are the best engineers on the planet for the most part. They're really, really awesome at a lot of awesome things. And that steel, man, for the record, that steel chainsaw is the cat's meow, man. That electric one.
Yeah, that battery one is off the hook. Joel talked about it when I did his permaculture or his polyface intensive discovery seminar. He talked about it back then, and I thought it was a joke.
I would have never believed, you would have never had me believe that thing is comparable to a gasoline
preferable.
engine. Yeah, it's preferable. I actually like it better. Man, I was like, dude, I'm kind of missing some man points here, man. But now,
if they had a longer bar on it, if they had a bigger one, I would use it for everything.
I think they do. I think they do have a longer bar, but the one we got on there is an 18.
We have the biggest one.
That is
we have
18?
the biggest one.
That's what I'm saying. It's an 18.
I don't know, but if they had like a bigger chainsaw that we could use on bigger trees and stuff like that. Like a larger capacity chainsaw for battery powered, I would use that instead of gas.
Man, that thing is the cat's meow. Hey, Germany, get it together, man, because we need a doggone chainsaws. All right, some good news. Top 10 fuels for cancer. Now you're thinking, okay, how is that possibly good news? Well, if you know what they are, then you probably kind of know what to stay away from.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go down this list, and hopefully it's a blessing to you or yourself or somebody you know. All right, number 10. I'll just do it like David Letterman from back to front. Okay, top 10. Number 10, artificial hormones, and that's in most conventional meat and dairy. Nitrates and nitrites, like what you're going to have in hot dogs and deli meat, unless you make your own homemade gabagool. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose. Radiation, okay, that's a no-brainer. Maybe living in what's that town up there where the train derailment just happened?
Ohio. Yeah. I don't think that's radiation.
Yeah,
I think that's worse, actually.
Well,
isn't
it's
it?
not. Yeah, it's actually considered worse. I can't even think of the
dioxins.
name of that. Yeah, dioxins. That didn't make the list, but hey, chemotherapy causes new cancers to develop. Sugar, perfect cancer food cell. Known that for quite a while, so I think it's a wonderful thing that right now I'm not touching sugar and. Frankly, I'm really not missing it. I mean, not that kind of sugar. I mean, I'll eat fruit or something like that, but it's not going to be, definitely not going to be white sugar, especially when you know the history about all that. Vaccine adjuvants and preservatives like mercury and MSG. Synthetic dyes and fragrances. That's number 3 in personal care products. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either.
But it shouldn't shock me when you stop to consider that would be a nice, slick way for them to put some junk on you.
That makes sense. Like, hey, they're about to spray this aerosolized liquid into their face. Yeah. Let's poison it.
It didn't even, the powers that shouldn't be are that diabolical.
I'll give it to you on that one. That was slick.
Yeah, I didn't even, I wouldn't have figured that. Fluoride, it's a byproduct of phosphate mining industry in China. Okay, know the history of fluoride and how it was used supposedly back in the Nazi camps. And why is it in the water? Yeah, I'll leave that up to you to find out. Number 1 on this list is spike protein. And because we're on YouTube, I guess I can't say from exactly what, but the spike proteins, and I think you know where you get those. That's number one on this list. So,
Wow.
I mean, that's actually
That is
kind of
crazy.
But there are ways to mitigate some of this stuff, we think. Okay, other good news. Check this out, y'all. Bombshell court filing claims that some of the 9/11 hijackers were CIA assets. How about that?
Just some?
Yeah. Well, let's say I'm not even convinced. First of all, I don't even know who in their right mind anymore is believing the official narrative.
Yeah, this seems like admitting to something that's not true, so the truth doesn't come out. That's what it seems like.
Well, it could be, or it's like, okay, prime example, it has just come out. You look at Oliver Stone's latest documentaries on the Kennedy assassinations. We now know it is Tenant Bagley was his name. I can't think of his first name, but it was Tenant Bagley. He was considered one of the biggest spy masters at the CIA.
Yeah.
Later on, they showed him some paperwork, and he was like, Oswald was a witting agent of the CIA. To this day, you can't even get Oswald's his tax documents. When he was still supposed to be being paid by the Marine Corps, he wasn't being paid by the Marine Corps, but we can't find out who. Yeah. And we almost know that, okay, so the point being is that this bombshell court filing claims, some of the 9/11 hijackers were CIA assets. Then if that's a lie, then maybe the whole doggone thing is a lie, or everything we've been told about it is a lie.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, man, there's a lot of people out there. You have Richard Gage from Architects for 9/11 Truth. You have Pilots for 9/11 Truth. You got the work of Dr. Judy Woods, which is absolutely astounding, who makes a pretty convincing case, at least in her. I'll leave that up to you guys to go look at. If anybody wants to know more about it or talk about it in one of these extra bonus episodes, maybe, reach out and let us know. Because I'm something of an expert on some of this stuff that was claimed by then.
Talking about getting shut down, we're definitely getting kicked off YouTube if we put that interview up.
Yeah, we get Judy Woods on here, man. She starts talking about what.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe we can do that maybe we won't put that one on YouTube. So, the point of it being is that everything you think you know, we're still finding out stuff about the Kennedy assassination, where I think it was Jim Marrs who wrote the book Crossfire. He was in an interview. This is before he died, of course. And somebody had asked him about 9/11. And Jim Marrs was considered like one of the foremost experts on the Kennedy assassination. And he said that and I'm loosely quoting it, but it was something like, there exists 50 to 100 times more evidence that what you were told in 9/11 was an absolute lie, but the same Kennedy assassination aficionados will not even take a second look at 9/11.
Yeah.
So I guess the point being that I'm trying to get at here, the reason why I'm saying this is good news is that things like this are almost never accepted in the generation it happened to. They never entertain alternative theories as to how something could have happened. And, even when the Zapruder came out and showed Kennedy being shot from the front, anybody with any sense can look and tell. And even then, barely a whisper. So here we are, not long after, 9/11, 2001. It's been some time, obviously. And maybe people will start to wake up if they, I don't know, man. I've said it before that we are so beyond, I mean this when I say it. There is no cure to this level of depravity outside of starvation. I really believe that. You saw the president of the United States get his head blown off, like it popped off like a doggone, like it wasn't even there. He was clearly shot from the front. Nobody cares. Very few care. You got 9/11. Nobody cares. We find out that Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, was completely a manufactured lie. And you can go back and look at that. Nobody cares. We find out that all this diabolical, the worst thing that's ever happened in history with this latest thing that just came out with the jab, and nobody cares.
This was supposed to be good news. This was supposed to be the good news segment.
Yeah, well, the good news is that there are, I guess what I'm trying to get here in a roundabout sort of way. I was about to go all the way back to World War I. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
but
this is a good news segment, Dad.
Yeah. Well, the good news in all this is that the people in the sound of my voice right now, you may not agree with everything I just said, but the mark of a real thinker is being able to entertain any thought without necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with it. It's listening to what I'm saying and saying, okay, well, maybe he's right on this one, maybe he's not, or I need to examine this information more. So the good news in all of this is that this stuff is still, despite all the evidence out there, it's still leaking out, and it's helping all those people who have kind of gotten themselves a nudge based on this pestilence that they manufactured, that this is just another little chink to say, hey, things aren't exactly what we thought they were. All right, well, here we are back, y'all. I don't know, man. I can't. I guess maybe people are probably thinking, okay, man, is this thing turning into like a conspiracy podcast or is it permaculture? Look, we cover all of the above, and part of the reason, this is where I totally agree with Andy Frisella on something.
Yeah,
is the reason why we have to cover some of this stuff, or at least bring it up. Believe me, the only thing I want to talk about in this world, when I say permaculture. And by the way, folks, if you don't know, PIMP stands for permaculture is my passion. It truly is. It really, truly is. I eat, sleep, breathe it, and I can't learn enough of it. This is what I love. And I would love to be able to do nothing but talk about this. But from the very beginning of this show, I feel compelled to cover a lot of this other stuff because we have to. I mean, I'm a farmer, y'all. Many of you out there are too. I'm going to need a planet, okay? I need
or in a market.
Yeah, I need a planet. I need a market. I need these things. So I got to make sure that I have a functioning country. And every day it seems like it's getting weirder and weird. Not seems like, it is. And these are manufactured scarcity, manufactured lies, manufactured everything. And we're going to have to either wake up and smell the corruption or fall asleep drinking the hemlock. That's why I feel compelled to cover some of this stuff, to give you a little heads up out there, but also to give you that ray of hope at the end of it.
But also that doesn't mean to hurry up and go buy every single animal known to man.
Well
at
done,
very
son.
high quantities. There's a balance.
Well done. He just drifted right on into the main topic here. This is a big deal, y'all, because we're seeing it all the way around in so many different places. Look, I get it. We live in a whack job country right now. We live in the United States of amnesia, and everybody feels compelled to get prepared, which I applaud you for. Well done. But are you putting yourself behind the 8 ball with your animals, with your gardens, with all those things, son? There was something that you said in your talk at the last festival, at the Farm Where You Live festival, where you said invariably most people are going to walk, but you have to put your garden in the way of you getting out of your car and getting to the house.
Yeah, you have to force interaction with things that need attention every single day. That comes into your permaculture zoning. If I force myself to interact with the garden, like if I put it in the way between getting out of the car and walking to the front door, I'm going to notice weeds that are popping up in my garden versus a garden that's in zone 3 and I have to make a specialized trip to it every single time I need to maintain it or something like that. It's very easy for it to, like, let's say you're about to leave, like you have kids or whatever, and you're about to take them to practice or go pick them up from school or something like that, and you completely forgot to water the garden that day. If you put it in the way of your car or on the way to your car, like, don't make it a tripping hazard, obviously. But that is instantly going to remind you, oh, shoot, I need to water the garden when I get back or right before or whatever. Yeah.
So the point of it being is that you structure these things, whether it be your garden, but really I want to get into the animal thing more than anything. Is that
it applies to your garden as well?
Yeah. Well, your garden. Yeah, exactly.
The size.
Exactly. So you're not out here putting in a 1/4 acre garden, which, believe it or not, takes some work, or a 1/2 acre garden, unless you got the help to get this stuff done. You can't really go I understand everybody's thinking, okay, I need to get prepared. Well, do some of the basic things right off the bat. Let's start with, okay, do you have water? Do you have storable food? And that's before you even do anything else.
Well, I just dropped off chickens to Tony today, and he's following the plan perfectly. He honestly is. He started off very, very small. He started off with just a small garden that did everything but fail last year, but it got them in the door of just growing food, of just like having to pay attention to something that's growing outside. That's what it did their first year. I don't think they got much of a harvest from it, I don't think they got much of a harvest from it. And then this year he introduced pigs. He got pigs from Ben Holler. He got 2 American guinea hogs, just 2, so he could get used to running pigs, moving them, interacting with them, feeding them. He's feeding them strictly from food scraps from a daycare. So he's got that system squared away. And now today is his first introduction to chickens. And he's starting off with 9 hens and 1 rooster.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's got the overflow from us. And we got rid of them because right now we know how to propagate birds, okay?
Yeah.
That's not what we need right now. What we need are fewer birds because the ones we had, the 32, they were more geared up for a chicken tractor on steroids. With that kind of bird, the ideal number is about 32 birds. Well, we got rid of 10 of them, so it brought us down to 22 in as far as the laying flock. And if we need to propagate birds, well, simple enough. We know how to do that, easy. Okay, but there are so many people out there getting animal after animal after animal, and you're not yet ready for it. You might be doing it out of fear, but you're going out there, you're getting multiple. Do you really need 500 chickens?
Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
And almost by like law, it's almost like a physics law or something like that. If you go out and buy animals because you just absolutely know the world is going to collapse in 3 months, it's almost guaranteed it's not going to collapse in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, so don't hurry up and go buy all these animals, increase your workload because you're planning on the day where that is your entire job is to procure food. Meanwhile, you still have your sales job at a card lot or something like that.
Yeah, and you still have to, okay, so you still got to look after, so you're going to turn what is a joy or what should be a joy into drudgery if you are not cautious about how you scale up. If you go out there all in the same, month or year, whatever the case may be, you know absolutely nothing about chickens. You don't even know how to manage them right or whatever animal you have there. Get to where you have a really good conversational understanding about the management before you go out there and get another kind of animal, which needs a different set of care, which needs a different requirements. So before you get into that point and you have all these other things, look, y'all, we're pretty good at a lot of this, okay? And we all had something of a sigh of relief when the pigs were gone because we're like, okay, that's one less.
Right.
It's one less thing we have to do in the list of chores we got to get done every day. Okay, so asking ourselves, and we have plenty of hands. We got me, you, and your mom doing this full time.
Yeah.
In addition to everything else. And then Kendra works for us part-time. So even then, we have got to be really, really good and careful with our time and how it's spent. So it can't be spent not 1 minute. In fact, that's why a lot of times when I'm doing projects, I do not like dogs around. I can't stand it. If they take me one step out of my way, if I'm holding let's say an armful of wood, and it takes me 5 seconds longer to do what I got to do because this dog's in the way, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, Mom and I are a lot more lenient on that. I don't have a problem working outside whenever the dogs are around. It depending on the task. If it's a task like if I'm using a Traco or something like that, I don't like Chloe around because she has absolutely no fear of the Traco and she'll get right in front of it. Same thing with Milk Boy. He just knows you'll move out of the way. Stuff like that. But yeah, but back on topic, that another dangerous point of, or another dangerous aspect of getting too many animals at once is, let's say you are preparing for end times. You get all these animals and then end times actually happen. And then you have the issue with too many animals on your pasture and you can't go buy hay. What are you going to do?
Well,
You're
that's-
either going to process all these animals at once and then you're out of a flock, or you're going to process half. You can't really keep, depending on what the animals, they're not going to store well.
That's if you even know how to process. There's
Yeah.
one person I know went and got a couple of hundred chickens, and they don't even have the means to process a chicken.
But
And
okay,
they never processed chickens before. I get these stories, and I'm like, folks, you gotta pump those brakes. I hate cliches, but that's really one that makes sense. You got to slow this thing down.
at least the benefit with chickens is that you can process 200 in a day, and the learning curve is pretty small. You
Yeah.
can kind of figure your way out with a chicken. If you've never processed a pig before and you're doing it for the first time and you don't have any kind of reference material, you're going to waste a lot of meat.
Well, even still, I mean, like the person that says, and I've had them say this before, we're coming to your house, or I'll just go hunting. Yeah, there's a reason they don't call it killing.
Farming's killing.
Yeah, I mean, and even then it's harvesting. But
Yeah.
you don't just go out there and go shoot a deer. I mean, what do you think is just going to show up to him like, here I am, put me in a plate? It doesn't work that way. I mean, all this stuff, you got to think it through. Get decent at growing one animal. But man, there are a lot of people out there, some of them write, and I respond privately, and you're wondering, okay, what do I do? I have this. In 95% of the cases, you went and got too many animals too fast. You've never raised chickens before, so what on earth are you thinking getting 200 of them if you've never done it? You don't even have the equipment to process them. You got to think this stuff through. I understand everybody's thinking a little bit backwards right now, and we've been at this for 2 decades, so yeah, I mean, as far as a learning curve, yeah, we had to make all these mistakes up front, but we had the benefit of time.
Right.
And not thinking that, hey, this whole thing is falling. Yeah, it could. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. The whole thing could go sideways tomorrow. It could. But you still got to look after these animals one way or another.
Yeah, and if you're trying to convince your husband and or wife to slow down, play this episode for them. Okay, like back to the garden part, because that's where most people are going to start. The biggest issue with a lot of people starting out and panic growing is what I'll call it, panic growing, is that they'll go out and plant like a half-acre garden. That's easy. Planting a half-acre garden is easy. Watering a half-acre garden can be easy. What's not easy is harvesting a half-acre garden and putting it all away before it goes bad.
Yes.
That's not easy. And if you've never done that before, you're going to waste most of that.
Yeah, I guarantee you'll be feeding it right back to them chickens and pigs. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you didn't realize that you could only can maybe 12 jars at a time.
Yes, you're going to find out. And it's not like the stuff in the store where it has this long shelf life. That's why it's in the store, is because it ships well. It's usually flavorless, which is why the really good stuff doesn't make it on the store shelves, why the tomatoes you grow in your garden with Miracle Grow are better than anything you could hope to buy. They're buying it for appearance. They're buying it for shelf life. So you don't get that benefit when you're growing it in your garden. Like he said, it's the harvest. That's the whole reason why we even got the Harvest Right freeze dryer.
Right. Yeah, was to help with the harvest.
Yes.
And like we're not really garden heavy or even like annual food production heavy. You know what I mean?
No.
Like compared to a lot of homesteaders, we don't grow as much as a lot. Like we're meat heavy.
Yeah.
I'll say we're meat heavy on that part.
Yeah, we got the meat. Ain't no doubt about that.
And even then, it was still hard to keep up with the annual food production harvest.
Yeah, it's still a look, y'all. Moral to the story: slow down. You have got you.
You gotta slow this thing down.
You got. Yeah, I thought about that too. But don't say that. Yeah, you gotta slow this thing down, baby. About made me spill this yak all over my $200 suit.
Anybody who's seen Friday After Next or something?
I don't know
like
what
that?
it was. I don't know. It was some movie that was on TV once years ago. Anyway, the point of it being, y'all, you gotta kick this thing even in reverse in some cases. You're driving yourselves crazy, a lot of you, and you're kicking off way too much when you're not even conversational on the animals that you currently have. All right, when we get back, y'all, straight into the Q&A.
Everybody worked up about line. Buying Twitter like he gon' save us. Left and right, squabbling while he got chips for your heads, calling him courageous. No bueno, I answer to no one, start calling me NATO. Digital cheese on the way though. Get you a bowl of Alfredo. It's a woke summer, I need another booster. Before I hit the beach, BLM on my coolie.
Alrighty, back to the Permaculture Pimpcast, y'all. Don't forget, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA, PERMA. And I'll be real with y'all. Man, I can't think of a better time to get one right now. So, look,
okay, I just thought of a not funny scenario, but an upside. So if you get an EMP shield on like a tractor that runs on biofuel or something like that, and the things go off, you're gonna own a whole city.
Wow.
You're gonna own a whole town.
It didn't even, well, it depends on how you can process that biofuel. I mean, hey, or, biodiesel.
Or biogas digest, or what is it? Wood gas digester?
I don't
What
know
is
if
it
you
called?
can, I don't know if you could do
digester?
that on a diesel, but wood gas,
Either
and
way.
a number of ways to go.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Remember, hey, $50 off with promo code PERMA. And yeah, I'll leave it right there. Yeah, I think you know the signs of the times. Uh-huh.
I got a comment on the Fountain app from Margany Man, I think. Hashtag tip a pimp. Love your show. Have listened to every episode so far. Keep on dropping the knowledge. Thanks.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you for checking us out. And look, y'all, there's thousands of podcasts out there. We know for a fact there is not another Permaculture Pimpcast out there. There's nothing even close, really. A lot of farm podcasts, there's nothing wrong with them, but I like to think that, you know what? This is our little purple cow.
This is the only Pimpcast.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're doing over there, son, but...
Dad, I'm pulling up YouTube comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got this section.
All right, well, right here we got one from Matthew. He says he's working out in the garden today, and I'm listening to your, quote, "Are you permaculture prepared?" podcast, and then I totally get what you mean about friends and family members who say, "I'll come over to your place if it goes down." Look, I mean, he says more here, but we got a lot to get to. Thank you so much for writing in, Matthew, but he's absolutely right. I'm not playing this thing where... if you demonstrated zero effort when you saw this thing coming, remember, Noah probably had brothers and sisters, probably had aunts and uncles. Were they on that ark? Nope. Ham, Shem, Japheth, their wives. How much you want to bet Ham, Shem, and Japheth all had brother and sister-in-laws, probably had mother and father-in-laws. Were they on that ark? Nope. And that's exactly, I think, the way you got to look at some of this stuff right now is that there's absolutely, positively no way to justify bringing somebody into your keep who has done absolutely nothing, and I dare say even, scorned you the whole time while you're doing it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I got one from Strider47. Yeah, he donated some sats saying, "This is for Billy's bail bond. Hashtag tip a pimp. Hashtag catch Jack. Hashtag face diaper. Hammock."
Yeah, you're probably going to need...
Great show and advice. I've been paddling in Spiral. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for checking us out there. Got one here from, Nathaniel. And it's hard to convey, but man, if I had a nickel for everybody who was sending pictures of chemtrails right now, it's mind-boggling. It is absolutely mind-boggling.
We should almost start like a chemtrail Instagram where people just send in submissions and we just post chemtrails all over the world.
Shocked if that didn't already exist.
It probably does, actually. Actually, probably doesn't on Instagram. It probably got taken down. This is from the user on the Fountain app. Thanks for another great episode. I have a question regarding using straw as mulch. Should I be concerned about residual pesticide, herbicides on straw I get from farm store like Tractor Supply when using it to mulch a garden? Also, Fountain has a way to make timestamps on podcast episodes just like YouTube. Not sure if you knew about that. Hashtag Jesus is King. Hashtag tip a pimp. I did not know that about the Fountain app.
No.
I'm not really too familiar with using the Fountain app other than reading these boosts and stuff like that.
Looks like they got a lot going on over there.
Yeah.
As far as you're using that straw in the garden, the composting process, now there's some debate on this as to whether or not there's one camp saying, hey, never, ever, ever use this stuff. There's another camp saying, and I'm in that camp, that if it's properly composted, then this stuff could be made inert, but I'm saying properly. I've also seen areas where this stuff was laid on the surface, and then in time, it kind of took care of itself. I mean, it was no problem.
I would say, just based on what I know now, and this might change in the future. I'm not sure. Dad, you can correct me if you can change it right now. Based on what I know, if there's life, if there's the exchange between carbon and nitrogen, it's going to lock up mild toxins in the process. And that's what the earth has been doing since creation.
It can do that, absolutely. And through certain types of composting processes, you can take some of this really awful compost and you can tie up all the bad stuff.
And we can speed up the process.
We absolutely can. But it has to be done precisely and it has to be measured, which is part of what we're learning how to do much better. All right, got another one from Matthew, and I got to kind of condense these, y'all. He says, hey, I was watching the Ben Holler's video, and Ben was talking about the price of cattle panel. When everyone hears grow your own food, they want to go out and buy plant starts, bag soils, and fertilizers. In a nutshell, what he's saying here is that the cost to go out and do this sort of thing is becoming astronomical. Yes, that is by design. The powers that shouldn't be, as he even states in here, the powers that shouldn't be don't want you growing food. That's why this will not be promoted. The revolution will not be televised. None of this stuff will be promoted by the powers that shouldn't be, because the last thing on earth they ever want to see is some brown-skinned brother like me telling people how easy this is, that you don't have to be relying on the powers that shouldn't be, that you don't need anybody's help out there from the government to make this happen. And so on top of it all, they're going to take all these materials and everything we need, and they're going to put them through the roof. I mean, that's been happening, and it's going to continue to happen.
Especially when he calls himself the permaculture pimp daddy, where
right.
Pimp stands for permaculture is my passion.
Well, that's the last thing these people want to see. That is the last thing. They do not want us to feed ourselves. And if they can make the cost of everything. I'll give you a prime example. The thing that really, really irks me about all this is the nature of what's happening between people that should know better. Let me try to say it this way. I know exactly what it costs to put a tree in a pot, okay? I know what it takes to graft a tree. I know the cost of it. I know the labor that went into it. I know what these things are. And so when I see down here at some of these, what do you call these things? Nurseries and whatnot. Yeah. And I see them charging $150 for ornamental plant that I know ain't worth a fraction of that, or a fruit tree, because you know people are desperate right now. And for a 5-gallon pot, you're charging over $100 for that, when I know for a fact you may have $1 in it.
Okay. So here is where I think you might be surprised at how broken that system is. I don't think a lot of nurseries, some of the nurseries are definitely robbing people, but a lot of them I don't think are, and they're not growing their own plants. They're purchasing them. Yeah, a lot of them are purchasing them from these huge distributors, which, if you pay attention to a lot of the big ones, are coming from China and also are inoculated with a lot of invasive species like Japanese knotweed. Okay, a little side note, there's Japanese knotweed growing on the back hill back here. The only way that could have gotten there was by some of the hay or straw that was tossed out there to use as mulch. It's the only way Japanese knotweed could come in. But a lot of that stuff is making its way through, like these potted plants and also mulch that we buy. A lot of mulch comes in from China. A lot of mulch. It's
a total screw job, though, with some of the things like, this is another reason why you really need to be making your own compost or knowing how, because that is life. But when it comes down to these things where there's a lot of predatory things that are going on, and I'm seeing it happen. Some of this stuff is very disappointing, where I see the cost of a class, let's say, used to be one thing. It used to be one price. And then all of a sudden, over the last year or two, even though their end of it hasn't gone up, some of these classes that I was looking to do, and I won't even mention where they are, literally went from $100 to $600. And I'm like, okay, these are recorded classes that you have got to pay for. I'm like, okay, your cost is no higher. Your
Yeah.
cost is no higher. You're doing this for a whole variety of reasons that I don't agree with.
Yeah, I agree. Got one from user 87656. While it's getting fat again, time to tip a pimp. Bermuda was the bane of my existence in my old garden, so I have some tips on that. I know 3 ways to get rid of it. 1, sheep mulching, as you mentioned. If you have time, you can grow sorghum and leave it a year to choke it. Third option is a cobra weeder. Use it to snake out the grid work of Bermuda below the surface. I would use the cobra weeder around those strawberries. This is from Ashley. Oh, okay. Bermuda sucks unless it's pasture. # character limit cramping my style.
I don't like Bermuda. Not in a box, not with a fox, not in a house, not with a mouse. I do not like Bermuda grass. All right, so we got one here. Hey there, pimps. This here is from Cameron. Wondering what books you would recommend for a newbie. Look, I'm going to tell you, like I tell everybody out there, I highly recommend right out of the gates Fukuoka's One Straw Revolution, because not only is it beautifully, masterfully, even though it's translated from Japanese, y'all, the prose of it is extraordinary. It is a wonderful work, and it describes permaculture in a nutshell from a Japanese genius, Masanobu Fukuoka. That's the number one book I tell people to read before you do anything else. Read that book. And there's a lot of others out there, but I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, work on that one.
I would say Guy's Garden. I would say read that one, because that's going to show you, that's going to explain a lot of the tree systems and your perennial systems right off the bat with pictures.
Yes. And it's going to give you a lot of good details. And like we talked about last week, also it's going to have a very good expose of all the things you can grow in your area.
Yep.
That book is valuable for that reason, if nothing else. There's a whole variety of reasons out there. This one here.
Hold on, Dad. I got one. I got one from Mark Sealand from the YouTube channel Permaculture Pimpcast. Check us out on YouTube. It's linked down in the description of every podcast episode. What do you think about growing clumping bamboo on swales and chop and dropping it as sheep feed? It grows like a weed and is evergreen. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. It's going to definitely help keep that swale there. It's going to stop erosion. I would make, when I lived in Australia at Jeff Lawton's farm, Zaytuna farm, I would make every morning, I would make a, bless you, Dad. He just had to sneeze for a second. I would make a salad for the dairy cow that I had to milk. And in that salad, 9 times out of 10 was a bunch of bamboo leaves. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you can feed it to your sheep. You can feed the shoots to them as well. I would definitely chop and drop it away from the swale itself, because you don't want your animals to walk directly up on the mound. Or you could like put it on the downhill side of the swale, something like that. But yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Got one from Andrea. She said, I received my comfrey roots yesterday, and thank you so much for your business. I want to make sure I put them in the correct location, but I'm worried about it becoming invasive. How does this variety reproduce? How do I manage its spread? Look, this stuff here, this Bocking number 4, you don't have to worry about any of that. You'll see it go to seed, what looks like seed, and it's very beautiful. Bees like it, but they are in fact sterile, so you don't have to worry about that. This comfrey that we sell, it stays put unless you dig it up. So
yeah,
you're not going to have any problems like that. It's not going to be like Japanese knotweed, that's for sure.
No. I got one from Chris Stubbs in reference to episode 86, the one with Bobby on there.
Yeah.
And of course, every outlet is screaming, that's not what it said and not what they meant. And the UN is saying nothing, but AP and everyone else are insisting that they did not call for that. Of course, they try to deny it. Keep preaching, Unc.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, so we got one from Patrick here. He says, bought this comfrey from you last spring. In a nutshell, basically, he stuck this stuff in the fridge and forgot about it. Pulled it out. I don't know what happened to my voice right there. Pulled it out, and bam, he's hopping and popping. So that's good to know.
Yeah, and I did get an email earlier this morning asking about that. This lady, she had bought 30 cuttings. No, she had bought 20 cuttings. Planted them, and well, she planted them about a week and a half ago, and she's saying only one of them has popped up and is only an inch tall. Well, a week and a half isn't quite long enough for the comfrey. And also, you put it in pots, so that might delay the growth as well. especially like depending on soil temperature and all that stuff. But a week and a half usually isn't long enough for comfrey to pop up. It usually takes it a while to pop up. I would give it 2 weeks to a month or something like that.
It could take as long as 6 weeks. I mean,
yeah, it really could. Yeah.
Yeah. So
but I would give it plenty of time. And then once it takes off, it takes off.
Yeah. Once you got it there, I mean, it's great for chop and drop. We've covered a lot of this before, and perhaps we probably ought to go back and cover it again for the new crowd.
Yeah, we should do like a comfrey FAQ.
Yeah, we really ought to. I mean, there's a reason, it's almost sacrilege as a permaculture designer to go on probably as much as we do about comfrey, but honestly, on this farm, it is by far the most, I just used a ton of it today to make compost.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff is without a doubt probably the most, how do I say it? I mean, the MVP.
It's the superhero of the farm. I think that was the thumbnail of that video we talked about it.
Yeah, I think it really is.
Yeah.
All right, so we got one from Brian here. He's got about 18-day compost. A couple of years ago, pesticide was used on my front lawn, but it hasn't been sprayed since. Is it safe to use grass clippings from a compost pile now? Also using wood shapings. Okay, yeah, you can. If it's not, you don't know what your neighbors are doing, and that could be a problem. I would go with it. If you haven't put anything on there, and I don't know the period of time, you would have to test to find out what's in there. But like we said a moment ago, through the proper composting process, and we're talking like thermophilic composting, you can actually tie up a lot of this junk, but there's got to be measurements. I mean, these are the things we're learning. We already knew that compost would tie up a lot of stuff, but it really, really helps if you get it right, especially, in terms of your composting process. So in an 18-day, if you get it right, you ought to be pretty good.
Got one on the YouTube channel, Christine Natvig. I am and always will be a one-woman show. Fermented French fries are so delicious.
Fermented?
That's what she said. Fermented French fries are so delicious.
That's a new one on me.
I'll have to take your word on that one. I don't like soggy French fries. I don't like slimy, soggy French fries.
I'm not down with any of that myself. I mean, I had fries one time. Somebody put some vinegar on them, and I guess that was, I don't know if they told me that was like an English or a German thing. I'm like, whatever it is, man, it ain't a thing I want to do.
I like it. I like it with malt vinegar. It's good.
Yeah, y'all can keep all that. Yeah, I'm not down for any of that. Probably got good digestion, though, when you do mess with it. We got one here from Walter. Says, comfrey made it through our Pennsylvania winter and has grown well. Had some losses and a slow start late season. Anyway, here's exactly what he's talking about here. He's wanting to make oils and salves and, all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's wanting to do out of this stuff. That's why, look, y'all, we're trying to put ourselves out of business. We want to get to the point where you can't give comfrey away because everybody already has it or knows where to find it. Even going to try to guerrilla garden some of this stuff on down the line. He also has one more question about the bone sauce, and he's asking if he can dilute it to make it sprayable. The answer is a resounding no. This stuff has to be. Now, the reason why I'm kind of laughing about this, there was a lady a while back. She took this stuff. She said, this stuff doesn't work, blah, blah. And I said, well, how did you use it? She said, I mixed into a 5-gallon bucket and poured it out on the lawn. I'm like, what? Where did you see me ever do anything like that?
Yeah, we send instructions.
Yeah. And there's videos out there. Yeah. We made them. I know because I'm in the video. And I'm like, so you did what? So I sent her another jar, man, and she went and did it again. I'm like, all right, man, I just told you. And I even sent the video. So Walter, the long and short of it is it's an oil base. You're going to have to cut it with some, if you want to cut it, I don't cut it with anything. It's very, 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 very potent the way I have it. And it's still not going to hurt your trees or any wooden surface you put it on. Now, do not let it hit the green. But the one thing you don't want to do is stick this thing in pump sprayer because you ain't ever going to use it again. And if you do manage to get it out of that nozzle, I promise you it's never going to work again. And if it does, you're going to need something to get that out of there. But yeah.
And a new spray nozzle because it's not going to smell good.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know there's so much you can listen to out there, but we thank you. Until next time, stay alert.
Stay alive.